Magic community, we gotta fucking talk.
Hello and welcome to the Mana Flood podcast, the only podcast where the boys decided a hand with 5 lands, an arcane signet, and a soul ring was a good enough hand to start. Get your floaties ready because the episode starts now.
Hey, I am from the Flood. This is Mana Flood. Like I said, I'm from the Flood. You can find me on X. You can find me on Twitter, which is the same thing. Sometimes you can find me on Twitch. Right now, you can find me feeling a little angry, a little upset with our community as a whole. Anyway, the wonderful gentleman beside me.
Hello, I am Queso from Dollar Tree. Otherwise known as Parmesan. You can find me on Parmesan TV at X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, Instagram. And on those you can find me laughing about how, well, Thassa's Oracle didn't catch a ban, but screw Jewel Lotus, I guess.
Yeah, it's that is actually what today's episode is going to be about, oops. Wow, that hurt. The recent bans that we saw come to Commander, and more than that, we have our own thoughts about the bans, and we will get to that. But more of that, how the community handled the bans, how we saw the absolute worst in our community, and it's a problem. It really is.
It's a big problem. Huge problem, but as Chase said, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we will. I want to say a huge thank you to Nom Honey for doing the wonderful intro and outro that you hear every single time you listen to the Mana Flood podcast. It really means a lot that she was able to record that for us, and we're going to keep using it and updating it as we get bigger, as we continue making new episodes and making more and more content.
And I would also like to give a huge shout out to our friend Ozzy for making our fancy Mana Flood logo. I would also like to sincerely apologize to them and to anybody else I may have offended last episode. I, unfortunately, slipped my mind a little bit. No excuse. I did misgender Ozzy. Completely my bad. I take full responsibility for that. I will for sure be more careful of that moving forward.
Yeah, and I didn't catch it in the moment. I should have said something, so I also would like to apologize to anyone who may have been offended, and Ozzy in particular.
Also, I just realized I never actually plugged Ozzy's Instagram. You can find them at The Stars Have Eyes. My bad. Go look at their art. It's great. It's fantastic. They made our logo. Do it.
Yeah, we were too busy apologizing. We forgot to plug you, so here's an advance apology for that one. We should just make YouTube apology videos. That's our shtick now. All right, we're just gonna hop right into the episode. It actually very well might end up being a long one. It might be a short one, but I don't think it's gonna be a short one. We have talked. Just between the two of us, we have talked so much in depth about everything that happened. So let's just start from the beginning. September 22nd, I believe it was. It was September 20 something. The rules committee out of nowhere dropped 3 huge bans into the Commander format and Nadu.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
Like Nadu, Winged Wisdom, everyone kind of agreed. Cards busted, should be banned, doesn't make for fun gameplay. So sure, that one, not a surprise. It was a little bit of a surprise for the Commander, the rules committee, to make the bans in the first place, because they had been quiet for so long, and for so long their philosophy had been rule 0 at tables. That's how we resolve this stuff.
Yep.
But they came forward and they made 4 bans total, and 3 of them were actually huge. In terms of the card's power and the card's monetary value. So the 3 cards in question were, of course, Mana Crypt, Dockside Extortionist, and Jeweled Lotus. And these 3 cards, I have a Dockside and I have Jeweled Lotus. I didn't, like, when I heard the bans came around, I was like, oh, that fucking sucks, whatever. Like, I didn't lose my shit. Like, I went to school and John was like, hey, look at the big bands. And I was like, what are they? Oh, fuck. All right. Well, guess we're just going to take them out of my decks. Like, it was no big deal to me. Like, I see it was annoying. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't like, well, now I'm a super big baby boy who's going to go cry on the internet and yell at people. No, I was like, all right, cool. Took it in stride. And took them out of my decks, like, immediately. Like, I've wanted a mana. I've spoken about how bad I've wanted a mana crypt in, I think, every single episode we have made so far. It was one of those cards that I was just like, I want it. It's going to be so fun to have, and I'm very excited. And then it got banned, and I was like, huh. Guess I can get one now. It's cheaper. But people. Oh. Okay, we'll talk about the community response. We don't agree with the community response. However, we'll push that back to after we talk about our personal feelings on the bans themselves and the way that it was handled. I don't think banning 3 of the most expensive staples in Commander, and CEDH especially, the way they did it was a particularly good move. I think Jeweled Lotus is incredibly powerful. It is a literal Black Lotus only for commanders. So it's limited in a sense, but it's still a Black Lotus. And everyone just knows how powerful Black Lotus is. So it's not a surprise to me that the rules committee wanted it gone. It's a strong card. It is. Very. Like, it was single-handed. If I had a Jeweled Lotus in hand, my Bruvac deck, more often than not, Bruvac the Grandiloquent, more often than not, if I started with a Jeweled Lotus, I win that game turn 3. That's how powerful it is. Otherwise, Bruvac takes like 6-7 turns to really get anything done. But with Jeweled Lotus and a couple other mana rocks, I just win outright turn 3.
The concept of like playing your... well, just to be safe, I'll say like 3-6 CMC commander. The concept of playing that like turn 1 or turn 2 in any game, right? And still having like an additional mana to use on whatever you want, for the most part, is like pretty nuts, actually. Like, you look at cards like Winota, for example, you look at Grand Arbiter, you look at like anything like that. And just to like be able to play a turn 1, that puts you so incredibly far ahead.
Well, you can also think partner.
True,
because that mana can be used for both. Could have been used, for both of those cards, because they're both technically your commander. Yep. So if they're the same color, or say one's got like it's red and then 2 colorless, you can, and then the other one's like white. You could tap or sack it for 3 white mana. And then you've got a red mana that you just had for your land for turn. Now you have both commanders out. Turn 1. That's busted.
100%. Like any, especially like CEDH decks, like Rog Thras, literally anything that uses Rograk. Because I believe Rograk is a 0 drop.
It sure is.
You can just use that other mana for just Thrasios.
Yeah, and like I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm pretty sure you can just have an infinite combo in your command zone with him. Like, I think you can just win the game turn 0. Like, it's busted. The card's broken, and it makes sense why it was banned. However, the way it was handled, these cards were worth like some serious cash. Like, I could not afford. I wanted a Mana Crypt. I could not justify spending the money on a Mana Crypt because of just how expensive it is. Like, it's not. Yep. It was not a cheap card. It was a staple. It was one of those cards where someone pulls out a Mana Crypt and you go, okay, it's one of these games. And I mean, they're strong cards. I don't think they should have been banned. I don't. They are strong. However, both of us have been at the same pod at our LGS, and the dude across from us for 2 games in a row pulled out Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, and we still trounced him without either of those cards in our decks.
Yes. That was still kind of sus, by the way.
That was super sus. Like, both games.
Maybe. It was just purely coincidence, but like...
Random Edmonton guy, we're on to you, okay? So if you're watching, I don't feel bad for just absolutely curb stomping you that day.
Oopsie whoopsie.
Yeah, I beat him once, and then you beat him the next game.
True. What was I playing?
Kidding. Yeah. So like, the cards are strong, but they are not the like, oh my god, you instantly win the game condition that people think they are, because you can still shut them down. There are cards, and sure, they're more CEDH cards, but there's that one blue Phyrexian mana that just counters target instant or sorcery that costs 1 or less.
Yep.
Or no, not even target. It's a target spell that costs with CMC 1 or less.
Yep.
I can't remember it. Mental Misstep.
Yes, Mental Misstep. Yes.
And that card, it's very good in CEDH.
Yep.
It sucks like everywhere else. Like, if you're not playing CEDH and you have that card in hand, you're like, this is garbage. Why is this in the deck? It's taking up a slot.
Yep.
Right. And like, in Bruvac, it was there for a long time. I took it out for just a generic. No, I took it out for like Force of Will. But it was a brick because I was playing at such casual tables. So again, it all really came down to turn 0. The bans themselves, they were expensive cards, and people were upset. Maybe, maybe they were rightfully upset. Maybe, but not to the extent that we saw. And I think that's probably a good transition. I want it to be known that we don't agree. Dockside wasn't a problem ever unless you were sitting at a CEDH table, right? Because CEDH is built around the artifacts. Jeweled Lotus, that was busted. I don't think the card should have been banned, but it was very, very powerful, and having one of those pop up out of nowhere when you're not expecting that kind of power level, yeah, that can be a little bit unfun.
When it comes to like everything that was banned that day, my whole thing is that unfortunately, there is an argument for each of those things to have been put as a ban. Like you think, I think they handled it very poorly. Banning all of those cards at one time is a huge hit to not only like us as players, but also like the secondary market, LGSs, everything. As far as like individual bans go themselves, Nadu, great, thank you. Finally,
yeah, that like, you see a Nadu on the table, you're in for a bad time. The rest of that game's gonna suck. Just scoop at instant speed. Seriously,
Kanan #1 Simic deck again, baby.
Like, Nadu was not fun to play against.
No, and like if there was a card to get banned with Nadu, even though like at like it's really only busted, or not even busted, just good in more CDH pods and like higher level EDH pods, I would say, is Dockside. Most of the time you're using that for like, well, loops, you know, get a ton of treasure tokens essentially. And I'm not saying it's like bad at casual pods, but it's definitely not at the power level it is at like a CDH pod or a higher level EDH pod. But again, if something was to get banned alongside Nadu, I could see Dockside for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Jeweled Lotus, in my opinion, I straight up do not agree with the ban at all whatsoever. It's really only usable in Commander. Was printed specifically for Commander back in Commander Legends. And I think to ban that is very, very stupid. And Mana Crypt especially. Again, like I said, I can kind of see the argument to ban Mana Crypt eventually. Not right at that moment, especially when it's such a big part of the CDH meta, which I know like WotC doesn't recognize, but like I don't know how much in USD it was worth, but at the time it was worth 300 Canadian. And that's
a big
rough, man.
hit.
And
like
that one card
drop.
like,
that drop, you could get those the day those bans hit, and the week after you could get those cards for less than $50. Like,
yep.
It was, I think it's climbed a little bit now, but like that hit was huge. That was insane.
Yep.
The hit that people hit and the perceived hit. And you know what's more broken? And not even like not even situationally. You know what is in every single scenario more broken? Sol Ring. And they were like, that's the face of Commander. I would argue Jeweled Lotus is more the face of Commander.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally the card they printed for Commander. It's the Black Lotus they printed for Commander specifically.
Also, like, it's much prettier than Sol Ring. Much prettier.
Yeah. So the fact that they banned it, it didn't make sense. Their reasoning was kind of bad. And just everything. They didn't consult the Commander Advisory Group.
Nope.
They didn't consult. They gave no warning to the players. They just did it and expected everything to go well. They had a well, I can't say this for sure, but it felt like they had a sheet, a frequently asked questions sheet, pre-prepared because they knew it was going to go poorly.
Yeah, they came out, my bad, Wizards of the Coast, when they took over the Commander RC, which we will get more into later on in this video.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They basically went on to say, oh, we didn't anticipate this kind of response from the community. There's, like, I can't fathom that. Like, how do you go banning those specific cards? Aside from Nadu, we don't care about you.
Yeah.
And not expect some kind of, like, what's the word? Like a riot, essentially, from the community.
Yeah, and like I know I've seen the people on Facebook Marketplace and stuff who, and like they're scalpers, fuck them, they deserve every lost penny they got. But I've seen people who have like 5, 6, 7. They have binders that are like full of these cards that they're like, oh, in case I ever need it. And like, don't invest in cards. Don't like invest in Wizards of the Coast as a stock. Don't invest in physical cardboard because that's stupid. Like that is very bad investment, especially with how it, fluctuates. But there was people that were hoarding them. There's local game stores that could have had thousands of dollars in stock that was reduced to like $20 overnight, right? Like it was so unexpected. It was so poorly done, and it was just kind of like a gut punch to the community. And I've heard from so many different content creators, it never should have gotten that bad. And they're right. It shouldn't have. That card never should have been as expensive as it was. But that's what they were trying to do. Jeweled Lotus was on its way to being that expensive. It was not that expensive when the bans hit.
No.
Like, it was like...
It was pricey, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like,
it was
the cheapest one was like 140, 160 Canadian.
Yeah.
But like, not 300.
It wasn't 300, right? Like, they were expensive cards, with Dockside being the cheapest at like, I think it was like $90 Canadian or something, $100, right? So they're expensive cards, but they hit all of them at once with no warning.
Nope.
And it did cause a lot of money in damages. I know there was multiple cases of people trying to go after the rules committee legally, with legal stuff, which is its own thing. It's also just as ridiculous. The whole situation was just so poorly managed by both the rules committee, by Wizards of the Coast, by everyone. Like, and this, I saw some conspiracy theories as well, and I want to mention this because I think it's a little bit funny. There were some conspiracy theorists that were like, it was Wizards' plan all along to make the rules committee do some shit bans and then take control. And then unban the cards. I don't think so. I mean, it kind of makes sense from a business perspective, but also they could have just done it years ago. It's not a good conspiracy theory.
No.
Like, Wizards could have, if Wizards really wanted control of the Commander rules, they would have had it years ago.
I mean, yeah, Mana Crypt's been in the game for, well, a long time. I don't know the exact year, but it's like sometime in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if Wizards wanted control of the Commanders or rules thing, trust me, they would have had it. They have a lot more money than a group of 5 volunteers. I'm sorry.
100%.
But it's very easy for them to have taken control at any point. So that's a bad conspiracy. I just thought it was funny, and I thought it would be something that's kind of worth mentioning. Because it's just so out there. It's so silly. Yeah. Sorry, we've said it time and again, but we agree with the Nadu ban. I can kind of see the Dockside ban, but you didn't really see the Dockside loops in casual,
No.
right? Like, unless you were playing always at CEDH pods, then sure, the Dockside loops were a staple,
Yeah.
right? But it's not something that I ever ran into a problem with.
No.
Personally.
You know.
And I had Dockside loops, and it was in my Krenko mob boss deck. I had the Dockside loops.
Yep.
They weren't good ones, but they were there.
They're
and
there.
it happened a couple of times where I would just get a bunch of treasures every turn with Kiki Jiki.
Yep.
Right, it happened. It wasn't a problem. I still lost that game. The one game it happened, I still lost. So it wasn't like, he just wins now. And it's just like the Mana Crypt example from earlier. Like, it's not a guaranteed win.
Mm-mm.
And it comes down to Rule 0.
Yeah, you know, more often than not, even without the Rule 0, whenever you saw, or like those cards would hit the board, or attempt to hit the board at least, in like a casual pod, or just a normal ass EDH pod at your LGS, you know, it's like, oh no, but it's not like super impactful to the game.
Yeah.
like at most, not on most, but like on average, you would play Dockside, you would make at most like 6 to like 10 treasures, which like is a lot. It puts you ahead, but it's nothing like making infinite treasures and dumping it into something.
And like in casual games, even with the Dockside loops, it was kind of bad. Because casual players do not have a lot of artifacts. And when they do, I see a lot of artifacts just getting removed for no reason other than, I got this card, I want to play it because otherwise I have to discard a card.
Yes.
So get rid of your, I don't know, Wayfarer's Bauble, bro. Like,
Also, something I cannot stress enough, kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here. If you're going to make infinite mana, please make sure you have something to dump that infinite mana into.
it goes back to our very first episode.
Literally.
Have a win con, dude.
If you keep Dockside looping, you know, you have all these treasure tokens. Great, you can play pretty much your entire deck, but like, do you have a win con? Or are you just hoping for the best, you know?
Yeah, are you going to do anything with that mana?
Yeah, which like in CDH, of course you have a win con. Of course. There's some way to win off that. But casual players, please.
And I've seen it so often in casual
100%.
where it's like, I have infinite mana. Soul Ring. Go. It's like, all right, bet.
Sick, dude.
That was a good turn. It's like, oh, it's okay. I get infinite mana next turn too. And it's like, you have no cards in hand, bro. That was your last card. At least save it for a bluff.
Well, one card in that deck, you could have won.
Yeah. And Walking Ballista, bro. Like, just throw a Walking Ballista in and some card draw.
Walking Ballista. Since it's a Dockside loop, you're in red. Crackle with power.
Anything that tutors for something like 2 or less, because Walking Ballista is 0, technically. It's XX, which would tutor as a 0. So there's so many things.
Yep.
Worldly tutor, if you've got, like, if you are running green and completely out of ideas, like, there's so many ways you can just throw in a tiny little win con and win the game with your combo.
For sure.
So don't tangent, but just throw in some fucking win cons. Like, geez, I had a conversation about this today as well with a buddy, and really wonderful guy. Love playing Magic with him. He's very, very competitive. Very loves blue. Very annoying, but he came and he spoke to me and he's like, "Hey, so what's a win con?" And I was like, "Oh, buddy, you gonna learn today." And I was like, a win con, in its barest sense, is something that, if left alone for a full turn rotation, will probably win you the game, right? So, like, say it's a Primordial Hydra. You leave that alone for 1 turn rotation, all of its 1/1 counters double. Thing's crazy, right? If it's not removed, you're going to win the game.
Yeah.
Eventually, right? And Primordial Hydra isn't particularly a good win con, unless you can give it like Shroud or Hexproof, protection from board wipes or something, right? But it's not a great win con because it takes so long. But it's still technically a win con, and it's fun, and you can just be like, hey, haha, Primordial Hydra, I loved that card when I was first getting into Magic. I had one in all of my decks. I ran like exclusively green decks so I could throw in 4 of them and everything. It was bad. I was like, oh man, this card is so strong, dude. It's not. Don't fall into that trap, but I get it. It's fun. It's got trample, and it doubles its counters. But yeah. Win cons. It's something that will win you the game. If it is either allowed to resolve or if it stays on the table for a turn. There's cards like the new Ulamog. Ulamog the Defiler. That's a win con. 10 mana, exile half of someone's deck, and it gets that X 1/1 counters equal to the highest mana cost. That right there, win con. Super easy. If you
Yep.
That's it, right?
Yep.
Win cons. Toss them in decks.
Do it.
They can be combos, they can be creatures, they can be anything you want.
Yep.
Okay. Now we've been kind of procrastinating getting to this next point.
Oh yeah.
Because
viewer discretion is advised for this next one.
Yeah, we needed to get past that YouTube angry, where the YouTube algorithm cares when we swear. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We had to get past that point.
You know, we threw in a couple, but YouTube's like, what's a little? It's fine.
Now it's going to be like every other word.
Yeah.
We're about to get upset.
Hated.
The community fucked up.
The community fucked up big time. I'm just gonna start off by saying, right? Yes, these bans were not handled correctly. Yes, these bans suck.
Yeah, they're not fun bands.
Yeah,
really.
we understand people lost a lot of money. You know, a lot of monetary value was lost, unfortunately. People that did so, you know, they have the right to be upset. They also have the right to voice their opinion, right? However, by no means whatsoever does that give them the right to go out and threaten members of the Commander RC, members of the CAG, who had nothing to do with it, by the way, and anybody agreeing with the bans in general. You know, that's, to be honest, that's like harassing and sending death threats to the people mentioned is fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Like y'all should be ashamed of your fucking selves.
Grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
They are little squares of fucking cardboard that we have all decided we enjoy flicking onto tables at each other. Like, they're not actually worth anything. They're worth what we decided they're worth.
Basically.
Right? Like, you do not get to go and threaten somebody's life. You don't get to go and threaten somebody's family because you're having what is essentially an adult temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pick yourself up out of the middle of the fucking Walmart aisle and walk the fuck home, because clearly you shouldn't be in a vehicle if this is you shouldn't be driving if this is how you handle any situation that is like mildly upsetting. And I get it. There's real life money involved.
Yeah.
So fucking what? Like,
truthfully,
every single member of the RC probably had these cards.
Oh,
and they knew these
100%.
bans were coming, and they specifically, and they said they didn't sell their cards. And I believe they didn't. I believe they knew these bans were coming for a year, if not longer. And they held on to those cards to take the hit themselves, to suffer with the community, because that's the kind of people they are. Like, these people make Magic content that is way better than ours, and have been doing it for years just for the sheer love of the game.
Mm-hmm. Like, the decisions they made, were they bad? To most? Probably. Right? But that by no means means that these people are like bad people, you know? They're people just like us, like you people watching, right? They love the game, they're dedicated to the brand, they want to see the game get better, and you know, to them maybe that's exactly what they were doing or trying to do is what I meant. My bad.
Sure.
SMRT, that is me. But like, again, by no means should you be threatening them with acts of violence, verbally harassing them through the internet, stalking them, threatening to dox them. You know, it's all very childish. It's all also very fucked up. You know, these people, they shouldn't have to worry about their well-being over a couple of pieces of fucking cardboard.
No, and I understand. Like, I do understand that a lot of trust was lost between the community
Yes.
and Wizards of the Coast. Pauper overnight took off. Pauper is commons only. It took off like overnight, dude, because of the amount of trust that was lost. People who were like, I would never proxy in a million years. Me, I was like, man, I would never proxy. Now I'm like, I don't think these cards are, I don't think it's worth chasing the cards anymore. I don't think it's worth buying anything. Now, if I want a card, I haven't actually bought a Magic card. I bought Duskmourn, I bought all the precons, and then the bans hit, and I stopped. And I haven't bought singles. I was buying singles like every other week. Like, genuinely, my roommate and I were spending so much money on singles. We've slowed the fuck down since these bans, because we're just like, maybe if we really want the card, we'll try proxying. And that's never something I've thought of before. And it's because there's so much trust was just lost. However, with that being said, I don't think we as a community, and I know it's a very small minority of people that were doing this.
Yeah.
But as a community, I don't think we deserve to get that trust back for a very long time.
No.
Because
Hell no.
Because of the way this was handled. We deserve actually to suffer for a bit. We deserve to get flooded with garbage sets that suck and we spend our money on because we're fucking gremlins. We deserve that for a couple sets. We deserve garbage because that speaks volumes to, if you go and you say, I play Magic. Now it's like, well, are you one of the fuckers that threatened the members of the rules committee? Like, are you an actual piece of trash? And anyone who knows anything about Magic, that very well could be their first thought about you. They're like, oh, if you suffer from any monetary inconvenience at all, are you going to be a threat to me and my family? That is the stereotype that has been afforded to all of us now.
Yeah.
That is a very real thing. Like, we look small in this camera. We look tiny. I'm 6'1", 6'2". Like, I'm a big guy. I'm broad. Yep. I'm very large. John is actually taller than me. I just gave him the short chair because I have confidence issues about the chair, about my height. No.
You play Armageddon once, man. One time.
But yeah, like, we are big guys. And then people hear we play Magic and they're like, are they unstable too? Like, that's...
Right.
Yes, but we're not violent. We're just unstable, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me I'm fat, I'll cry for the next 4 hours. Like, jeez.
I will counterspell your
mental damage.
Yeah.
But
I'll counterspell your mana dork. I'll counterspell your elvish mystic.
I will counterspell you just to, like, mildly inconvenience you during that game.
If I hear the word fuck leave your mouth, my job is done.
Yeah. If I see you give me that angry side eye because you mildly inconvenienced me during a game, buddy, my day is made. My week is made. I will sleep soundly. However, I would never in a million years threaten anybody.
No.
For anything. And, like, I don't know the details. I've watched many videos on it. I've watched the video from Tolarian Community College. Yep. They are obviously not a sponsor. It is Prof. He is a wonderful human being based on his videos. I unfortunately have not had the pleasure of meeting him in person yet. Hopefully one day.
Yep.
But he went into it and he said some of the threats and the levels of threats that they got were disgusting. He was like, I am not surprised they closed down because of how horrific those threats were. That's not okay. I don't care what they did to you, unless, even if they, like, actually, well, if they, like, murdered one of your family members, that's a lot different. I can't sympathize with that. Yeah. What I can sympathize with is having a piece of cardboard banned. Okay? That was such an unnecessary reaction, and I understand that it was from a very, very small amount of the community. I understand that probably the people watching us aren't the people who did it, right? And if you are, seriously, fuck you. Stop watching. We don't need your view. We don't need your support.
We don't want you here.
Get out of our comments section. Get out of our videos. You're not the kind of people we want to associate with. We don't want you as fans. We don't want you watching our stuff.
Yeah.
I think we have established we can be a little toxic when we're playing. You'll see, hopefully soon enough, we have plans on starting up gameplay. You'll see some of our toxicity.
I for one, I salt very easily. And once
Salt as in like salty, not assault.
Yeah.
Right?
Not assault.
It sounded like that. He's not punching people. He's just
I
salty.
get salty very easily, and when I do, every game action I take is out of spite and very mild hatred for the person that has inconvenienced me.
And it only lasts until we're done playing Magic, and then it's like, dude, let's go get some food. Like,
hey, you want to go get some Taco Bell?
Yeah, like let's go bond now. Like we had that traumatic experience together, right?
Yeah.
And we've established we're kind of toxic. We do not condone threatening. We do not condone any of that garbage.
Mm-mm.
Because the people who are getting threatened, I've watched a lot of them. Okay, I know of 2 people on the RC that actually make content.
Yep.
Both of them have stepped away from their content so far, and we don't know if they're coming back. And that is so unacceptable, so unfair to them.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely cannot believe it. It's like, it makes me feel kind of sick.
I'm not gonna lie, it makes me feel very like sad as well. I'm a name drop here. One of the big ones that stood out to me, and I'm sure stood out to most people probably, was Olivia Gobert Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
She received, from what I can tell, quite a bit of backlash from that, and threats. I'm pretty sure she was like threatened to be doxxed, probably death threats there as well. And that like really, it made me angry, don't get me wrong, but also made me very sad, because that's somebody that like quite literally pours their entire being into the game and the community. And that does very well, to make sure that everybody feels included and welcome to this hobby. And for them just to kind of like feel so unsafe and uncomfortable to like step away and potentially not come back is super disheartening to me.
It makes me mad, especially because it came to light. The rules committee came and made an announcement and was like, hey, look, Olivia was the one person that said no to the vote.
Yeah.
Like, Olivia proposed, this is what Olivia proposed, and they outlined that Olivia proposed banning Nadu and Dockside, and then putting the other 2 on a watch list. And that was overruled and thrown out. And Olivia got a lot of the hate, and that is not fair. Olivia, I've never met these people. I am not a lucky person. I don't get to meet all the big Commander creators. But from what I can see, and from her personality on the internet, she seems like just such an absolute sweetheart who loves playing the game more than winning. She truly loves the game. She loves the social aspect. You can tell when she's playing. She loves every single aspect of the game, and when she's playing with her husband, you feel like you're sitting at a kitchen table with them, and it's just fun.
It's so wholesome.
Like,
I love it.
It really is. It's wholesome. Yeah. That's exactly the word I'm looking for, and it's just such a treat to watch. And if you've never seen any of their content, I highly recommend it.
Yes,
it's genuinely so good. It really is just high quality content from a high quality person and high quality people in general. And she did not deserve this. Nobody deserved this. Nobody deserved the threats at all. That is so ridiculous. But yeah, it's not a situation where anyone should have felt that they were threatened. Nobody should have felt that they were in any kind of danger because they banned a couple of pieces of cardboard. Literally,
nobody wins from being threatened, The people that are being threatened, as we have said, feel very uncomfortable. They fear for their well-being. Hell, they feel for their family's well-being. Not right. And the people that are doing the threatening, you just look like fucking douchebags, truthfully. And like everybody, not everybody maybe, but most people, we hate you now.
You are not welcome, like, in our channel,
No.
at our table. If there's any point where it's like, hey, I found out you threatened, I will take you to the police. I will, like, all of my neighbors are cops. I will be like, hey, yo, I went through Buddy's phone. Here's some horrific threats. That's a crime here. Please arrest. Like, I do. Snitches get stitches. I will gladly take those stitches, dude. Like, I will. If you're going to be a piece of shit and threaten people that just want to they literally just want to make people's lives better.
Yeah.
They want to make a game fun, and you're out here like, oh, I'm threatening you. Like I said, you are being a baby. Pick yourself up off the floor of the grocery store and walk your ass home. Maybe change your diaper first. I don't know. Like, it's unnecessary. It's all you did was make things worse. There's no way that Wizards owning Commander now is going to make things any better,
which we'll get into in a moment. Also on the same note, we obviously not a big fan of the people that have been making these threats to any of the people that we have mentioned, or groups of people that we have mentioned. And we hope they like seriously take a look and just kind of like reevaluate things and maybe go, hey, that was pretty shitty of me, That being said, if you see somebody making a threat, that it doesn't make it okay to like threaten them back. No. If that makes sense, don't do that.
Report them to the police.
Report them to the police. Maybe go, hey, not cool. Don't. If you see somebody trying to like dox somebody, don't be like, oh, I know where you live. I'm gonna stab you. Don't do that.
I'm a dox you back, big boy. No,
don't do that. 2 wrongs do not make it right. Don't do it, please. Don't do it.
You need at least 3 rights to make a left, and there's no wrong anywhere in sight there. So,
got
yeah,
ba-boom,
yeah. But
or whatever.
Yeah. Or whatever that presidential candidate said in their speech,
They're eating the dogs?
No, the cats.
Oh my bad. Shit. You're right.
Yeah, it's really upsetting to see people who I genuinely look up to. And I've looked up to since before I've started this podcast. I've looked up to them as people, right? Before this podcast was even an idea, I was like, they just seem so nice. And you know what? They're internet personalities. Behind the scenes, they could suck. They could. I'm not saying they do. They seem really nice. And that's probably why they have a huge following.
Yeah. And they also like just play a really big part in like growing the community and making it as safe, or was it safe, as it was, and yeah, man.
And it's not. Don't threaten people. Like, I can't believe it's 2024, and we still have to be like, hey, threatening people is bad. Like, the amount of adults that still need to be babysat is actually staggering. Just in like.
Yes. Every
aspect of life.
Yes, that another tangent. That is something that astounds me about this, is that most of the people that did the threatening were in fact grown ass adults. I'm not saying it's okay for like a teenager or somebody maybe new to adulthood to make these kind of threats, but it's a little more excusable. They're still very immature, still learning. Be like, hey, don't do that. But to a grown-ass adult, we really should not have to have that conversation. That's just kind of a no-brainer, Hey, don't threaten to kill somebody. Hey, don't threaten to leak where somebody lives all over the internet. Just don't do it.
Yeah, like, these people, and I mean this disrespectfully, should not be allowed to reproduce. Because... And the reason is they're not going to be bringing in children into the world that are going to make the world a better place.
No.
If you constantly are making the world a worse place, or even if you do something like this and you don't stop and think afterwards and go, you know what? That was really shitty of me. I should, look deeper and be better. If you go and try to defend your actions for threatening someone, don't reproduce. I don't want to see that child. I don't think that child would make the world a better place in the long run. And it's such... The fact that people are still doing it, every time something goes wrong, they're like, oh, I'm a victim. I'm going to threaten you now. Like, you're not a victim. You play a card game, bro. You play a card game.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly what you're doing. You know that the cards change in price all the time. Yep. Look at Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And every other TCG. Card prices are constantly in flux because of metas and bans and whatnot. And Magic just so happened that Rule 0 was governing it for long enough that they didn't have to step in. And I 100% agree with stepping in for Nadu.
Yes.
Because even in CEDH, Nadu made those games nightmares.
Yep.
It was like, oh, Nadu's looping. Let's just scoop.
Yeah,
because otherwise we're here for
there was really no such thing as like a casual Nadu deck just because like of how strong that card was.
Mm-hmm.
Truly. Like you could go infinite with like a cheese slice. A slice of processed cheese, and Nadu would be like, I win.
Yeah. Nadu's just like, we win that game.
Yep.
Like that makes sense. That ban makes sense. Wizards fucked up on that card. This whole thing is a snowball from Wizards' big fuck up with Nadu, as well as reprints. And this whole thing culminated in the worst possible way with Wizards taking over control of the Commander format entirely.
Yes.
And I think we can only circle around so much about how upset we are with the community, or how disappointed we are as dads. Mana dads. Anyway. It's the Mana Dad podcast. Mana Dad Dadcast?
I have a kid.
Daddy Flood? Floody
Daddy.
Parma Dad. I almost called you Parma Dan, and I was like, nope, Parma Dad.
I personally like Parma Father.
Parma Figure.
Parma Figure. You heard it here first, folks.
Parma Figure.
Parma Figure. Baby the babba the boo.
But yeah, we're super disappointed in the way so many people handled this. And we're just gonna... We circled a lot there. I don't think you need us lecturing you anymore.
No.
So we're just gonna talk about how we feel about Wizards of the Coast taking over the rules committee. Because that is what happened. That is what needed to happen.
Yeah. Obviously, the Commander RC did not feel safe or comfortable after said threats and outcry from the community, which honestly completely fair.
It's fair that they didn't feel safe, not the outcry was not fair.
Yes. Which unfortunately led to September 30th, I believe, date subject to change. Basically, the Commander RC put out a post saying, hello, we didn't like that. We don't feel safe. We are handing over complete control of the Commander format to Wizards of the Coast. And Wizards was like, yippee.
And I'm not sure, but they very well may have gotten more death threats for this. We haven't heard any information since it's gone over.
Nope.
But with how people are big babies, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because people fucking suck.
Yes.
Stop that.
Stop.
Grow the fuck up.
That's a water bottle, mother. Anyway.
A water bottle? You mean like a water...
Spray, but whatever.
Okay.
Bottle of Windex. Up to your discretion, bro.
Yeah.
Fabrice. Get it because you're stinky anyways.
If you threaten people, you are.
You sure are.
You smell like banana tempura.
It's forever ruined for me. But yeah, WotC is in control of Commander now. And while I think largely that is kind of a yikes, I also do think there's some some little smidge, little wedge of that is good. But of course, having a company whose main objective is to, again, not hating, just stating our opinions, a company who's wants to make money and likes to make money, right? Having control of the most popular format currently in Magic, could be a problem.
Mm-hmm. One of the positives is that the old RC is now safe. Hopefully they feel safer by the day.
Yes,
that is a positive. They deserve to feel safe in their own homes. They deserve to feel happy. Everyone, even the people who are sending threats, deserve to be happy. The people who are sending threats should absolutely rethink their lives and why they thought it was okay. But I genuinely believe they deserve to be happy. But so does the RC. Just because somebody has mildly inconvenienced you doesn't mean you get to try to ruin their life. Because end of the day, if you were putting your life savings into mana crypts, yikes, dude.
Yeesh.
Like, someone gave you some bad investment advice and you followed it. That's on you. Like, you could have bought stocks in... I don't know anything about stocks, but the one that's doing good right now, probably.
Yeah, you could have invested in
Google
stocks.
You could have invested in Google stocks in the 90s. Like, what are you doing, idiot?
GameStop might spike again. I don't know.
I don't know anything about stocks. I just know back in the 90s-ish, Google was a good one, and I know that because of things like Superhero Movie.
Yes, cinematic masterpiece, superhero movie. A modern marvel of cinema.
Okay, but can we talk about how good those dumb parodies were?
I
Like,
love
Meet
them
the Spartans.
so much. Meet the Spartans was hilarious, bro.
We are
the pirates of the Caribbean. It's so good.
It's like the Hungry Games.
Yeah.
There's so many dumb ones, and we don't get those anymore. And they were like early, like 2000 to 2010 staples. Whenever there was scary movies, they were funny.
Insane.
Yeah.
Truly, they're dumb.
Yeah.
They're so dumb.
They're stupid,
but like
they're good fun at a party.
Sit down, right? Have a few special candies, right? And just turn one of those on, please. You won't regret it.
Yeah. Like I said, they're great at a party. It's a ton of... They're such silly little movies that you're just like... It's stoner humor, and it's funny.
Yeah.
And it's
good.
Anyway, that was way off topic. That wasn't even
meant together.
Magic. Yeah.
Wasn't even a card game.
I can't remember where what I was talking about with the superhero movie.
I don't know
reference.
either, but that came deep from the abyss, I can tell.
We are derailed right now. Actually, I forget what point we're on, so hold on.
Watsy taking over Commander.
Taking over. I genuinely think that we're going to see a lot of bans and unbans based on sets that are coming out. And they're going to be subtle. And you're going to be like, why is that banned? And then the new set's going to come out with something slightly more powerful. And you're going to go, gotcha.
Yeah, basically, like, I can very much see it being like, banned. And you're like, why? And then the new set comes out and it's like, it's the same thing, but better. And you're like, okay.
Yep, there it is. That's why.
Yep.
And for whatever reason, new card's not banned. Oh, because it's new and they can drive up the price artificially that way. And there's a lot of ways that I don't see this working particularly well in our favor as players.
Mm-hmm.
Because Wizards doesn't have the players' best interests at heart. You know who did? The Rules Committee. And a small minority, fucked it up. Like, real hard. And there's... The format, Magic the Gathering, it's not ruined. Game's not over. Game's not going anywhere, despite the people who are like, I'm only playing proxies now. The game makes Bandai enough... Bandai?
No.
Hasbro.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball. That one's Bandai. That one's Bandai. They makes Hasbro enough money that it doesn't matter. Your your little babies who are like protesting by not buying cards anymore. You're not really doing anything.
Yeah, Hasbro, they were like wiping their tears with stacks of hundreds. Like,
Right.
oh,
And, like,
no.
They might see a dip in profit for a bit
A little bit.
because of the trust that was lost. But
Yep.
they'll get it back. They'll go, hey, yo, so as an apology, here's like Mana Crypt 2.0. Soul Ring, but it produces 3 mana instead. Oops, it was a typo, but now everyone
Here's-
has one.
Jeweled Crypt. Something like that.
Mana Lotus. Yeah, like
That
there's
name sent chills down my
yeah,
spine.
yeah, like there's a lot of things they could do that it's just like So
Yep.
The next powerful cards are just around the corner. The chase will be right back, and
Yeah.
eventually, I do not see Jeweled Lotus or Mana Crypt staying banned forever.
No.
I hope they stay banned for long enough to make sure all of these little babies sending death threats sell theirs off at super cheap prices to me specifically. And then it comes off the ban list, and I have one in every deck because I was like, but yeah, I don't think it should be unbanned right away. I think we should wait a year, maybe 2, just to make sure that the people who are trying to hold on to it get rid of it.
Mhm. I do think from this announcement, I do think there is a little bit of good. In that, for one, the RC, obviously, they are Magic players,
Mhm.
right? But they are in no means game designers. The people that are going to be spearheading Commander are, in fact, that. They are game designers. They have an education for this stuff. They have been trained thoroughly how to do this. And while I think, like I said, I'm not necessarily a fan of WotC taking over Commander, I do think that in itself, though, is a net positive having actual game designers working on a format. We saw it a little bit with, not even a little bit, kind of a lot of it, when Gavin Verhey kind of spearheaded Pauper. We saw a huge change in Pauper, but it wasn't a bad change at all. It was actually a very positive change. The format changed. People are having a lot more fun. It saw like a big rise in popularity. And I think that definitely could, maybe not will, I don't know, but could benefit Commander as a format.
Yeah, and it's again one of those things we're just gonna have to wait. We're gonna have
Yep.
to see. Wizards has already made some weird changes where their power levels now have 4 tiers. No, that sucks.
Yeah, they're like brackets. I'm like,
If you got a tutor, you're CEDH. No, I don't. That's wrong. That's wrong.
oh, but
Wizards.
heroic interventions, just high-powered casual EDH.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, but any tutor for any reason,
How dare you?
CEDH. Good luck.
If you're using the worst tutor in the game. You're using Gamble. You must be C.
It needs to be reworked. It's
Sure
not
does.
good. The 4 brackets. 10 made sense. Maybe 10 was too much. Maybe 5, because realistically, people were like, precons are the lowest, but that's a 5. No,
No.
precons should have been a 3 because I can make something worse than a precon, but they're not great.
I do think it's something they will change a little bit. I think it'll be brackets for a bit. And that they'll add more brackets if that makes sense. Because as you said, right now there's like 4 of them. I do think in order for this to work, there needs to be like a 5th and probably like a 6th one. Yeah,
high power.
yeah. So like we'll see, but
Because I feel like their CEDH bracket, where they're like 4 CEDH crazy, is everybody's 7. It's like everybody's mid-tier deck is now CEDH tournament
It's-
worthy deck, and that doesn't make sense.
Billy Bob's fucking, what is that one dinosaur called? Oh my god.
Billy Bob's that one dinosaur that eats things, probably. I don't know.
No,
Maybe
no,
it's Galta Primal Hunger.
Billy Bob from the LGS, his Gishaft deck is fucking CDH now, apparently.
Yeah. And my, you
That
know,
took
it's
me
silly.
too long.
My deck with 97 lands is now, my Maryland deck is technically CEDH now. It is a meme deck. It sucks. There is no way, literally no way to win with that deck. it is CEDH now.
That's funny.
Mhm.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, my meme deck that cannot win until like turn 6. There is no acceleration. It is literally land pass until you get your combo. If your combo's countered, you lose.
Yep.
You're just out of the game. There's nothing else you can do.
That's
CEDH,
so
baby.
funny, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I want to see a couple of like YouTubers go like building the worst possible technically CEDH deck, because I have one, and that would be a good episode actually, playing the worst technical CEDH decks. That would be actually very funny.
Chase about to pull up to a CDH 5K tournament with 90
Maryland of
swamps. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's gonna be very I think that will be a very, very funny
100%
episode that we could potentially do in the future. That's just like, hey, we got one combo, that's it. If it works, it works. Meme decks only. Yeah. So there's a lot that they don't understand how to run a casual format. They understand how to run a competitive format.
Yes.
Because nobody knows why Commander's so big. Actually, you can kind of guess it. It's because of the community aspect. It's because you're sitting down to play cards and you're not sitting across the table from someone who's like, I'm going to win. I'm going to fucking crush you, you slut. Ugh. Unless you're sitting across from us. In which case, yikes.
Only sometimes.
No, only if you inconvenienced me mild.
Look,
mildly inconvenienced me.
The moment my commander costs 6 more mana to cast, all right, I may or may not get pretty salty.
Yeah. But yeah, like, WotC taking over the format. I don't know. I hope it ends up being okay. I think it is. I genuinely believe it was the right move by the rules committee. They should absolutely be allowed to feel safe. It sucks that the little babies throwing their temper tantrum actually got their way and their mom got them chocolate. Not great. But, I mean, there's not a lot we can do, right? Like, they were the screaming kid at the grocery store whose mom bought them like 7 chocolate bars just to get them to shut up. That's exactly who it is. It's not great. You hate to see it. They got their way, but maybe this will be a net positive for everyone. I hope we see Olivia come back. I hope we see the other one whose name I can't remember right now come back to doing content and creating content. Because honestly, one of my margins for success, if I was to ever be like, we are successful as a channel, would be to have Olivia on as a guest.
100%.
That's
100%.
how you know you've made it 100%. In this. And so to see how she was treated by the community, by members of the community, and it's just because they were like, I know her name. I've seen her content. I know she's on the rules committee. And that's it. That's all they based it on. Because, like, even before they came out with the statement, I was like, this doesn't sound like Olivia. She must be on CAG. I must have heard wrong somewhere. No, I'm not. She was the one that voted against it. And I was like, yeah, that sounds right.
My initial reaction, first off, I saw a meme about Mana Crypt being banned before the actual announcement. I'm like, oh, that would be so funny, dude. And I like went on Twitter and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, dude.
Wait a minute. I looked at the bans. I'm like, this is fine. Then I saw Dockside and I'm like, oh, that affects me. Well, such is life. The fuck, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you can tell we play other TCGs. We're both just like, oh, ban hit.
Yeah, truly.
That sucks. We had a buddy who was like, oh my god, my Jeweled Lotus, this sucks. And he was a little salty about it for a couple days. And we kept making fun of him for it. It was great. Because, like, I took out Jeweled Lotus from one of my high power decks. I didn't bitch about it. He looks at, like, I remember he looked at me, he's like, man, we got to take Jeweled Lotus out of our decks now. And I was like, huh? Why? He's like, it's banned. And I was like, oh.
All
right, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'll do that tonight because it's in my backpack right now. Like, whoops.
True.
Like,
True.
It wasn't a big deal for me. And sure, I bought the card when it was like $70 or whatever, $60. But I still, if I had sold it before the bans came through, I still would have made a profit of like $100.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is what it is. Sometimes you lose money. I don't buy cards for the monetary value. I buy cards for the Shiny cardboard. Let's be real. I buy cards because I like playing a card and then the whole table going, you fucking bastard. Right? Like, that's what I enjoy. You know, you drop down a Cavern of Souls when you're playing Eldrazi and everyone just goes, ugh. Yeah, right? Yeah. You play and it's a shiny cardboard, really pretty Cavern of Souls that costs like $300 Canadian. I have that in Eldrazi now. Have I showed you?
Show me after this, please.
Yeah, it was the one. It was the one in the display case.
The one
at the LGS. The really pretty one, foil. It's probably gonna be like up here.
I'm blanking right now.
It was. You're gonna see it, and you're gonna go. It was fucking, that was there for years. I thought that was a decoration, bro. Like, yeah, I caved. I bought it because it's a pretty card, and I like my shiny cardboard.
Shiny cardboards are good.
And like Wizards will still continue to get my money as long as I have silly, funny, haha deck ideas to build.
Solana's Wizards keeps printing the creature type Merfolk. Fortunately, they kind of have like a death grip on my wallet. So.
Like, I'm in school right now. I'm not making much money, but I'm spending a lot more than I should on Magic and Magic related stuff. We now have all the mics we need in order to start doing gameplays, and we have the overhead mount, and we have everything. We just need time because of school. But they're coming, I promise. I don't know if we're going to do 1 a month or 2 a month yet. I'm leaning towards 1 right now, but if people really like them, then we'll try to smash out 2 a month. Anyway, that's future stuff.
Very much looking forward to it, though.
Oh my
It'll be a
goodness,
good time.
we have so many stupid ideas. I'm so excited.
You
we
will
have
also get to bear witness to myself and Chase sharing exactly
one
brain cell. It's a great time, truly.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing Magic with John because we are both super petty, but we have never been super petty towards each other ever in a game of Magic because we both know that the other is an incredibly good player and it's not worth it early in the game to be to be petty at them.
We know at all times that either of us can win at any point.
Yeah.
So we just focus on the other people at the table.
We focus the other people at the table because we know it will be an absolute slugfest. Goku versus Vegeta's levels of just slugfest if we try to be petty at one another. Yeah. Like, the rest of the table doesn't need to exist. If the rest of the table helps me kill John, fuck yeah, we're best friends for life, right? Like, it is. And it's like, yeah, it is just a bad idea, and I can't wait because it's going to eventually happen on one of our live gameplays, and people are going to be like, oh, wow. Oh, that is bad Magic.
Correct.
You're goddamn right. I don't play this game to be good. I play this game to win.
I play it so I have an excuse to buy shiny cardboard.
If I'm not going to win the game, I'm going to win the moral victory, I guess.
You may have won the fight, but I won the war.
Exactly. You may have killed me, but neither of us felt good about the way that game ended.
You may have won, but your commander now costs 20 more and get fucked.
How'd that farewell treat you, idiot? Oh yeah. I can't wait for our Just Stacks episode where everyone's locked out and the game ends in a draw. It's not scripted. That's how I see the game going.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be one turn order where somebody goes, Heliod Ballista. Nope. Moves on to the next turn. Heliod Ballista. Nope. Moves on to the next person. Heliod Ballista.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Anyways, we're just talking about the future of us right now because we believe Commander is not going to die.
No.
The game, regardless of the ruling changes, these don't affect a lot of people. You're hearing a lot about it from everywhere because it affects the content creators. It affects the big ones. It doesn't affect us. We're mad because people were jerks, right? We're mad because we look up to people like Prof and Olivia.
Rachel Weeks,
Rachel
Josh
Weeks.
Lee Clyde.
That's the one I was trying to think of the whole time. Jimmy Wong wasn't on CAG, but we look up to him too.
Yeah.
We just got to throw out names to show I know people too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such a tragedy that this happened. People were dropping off of the CAG before Wizards took over officially. It was just a mess, and it wasn't fair. It wasn't okay. You can't do things like this to people who are genuinely trying to make the game better. And I think if the rules committee had gone to the CAG first, the CAG would have agreed with Olivia, and things may have been completely different. But instead, we got the whole shit show that happened.
Sure.
And now Wizards can design and make rules for weird interactions, because I've run into a couple with Arch Enemy. Arch Enemy Commander is not particularly well defined. There's a lot of basic rules that are not super well covered, that are kind of like, but we're not going to be running into that problem anymore with Wizards on it. I mean, we might, but it'll get resolved a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, as Chase was saying, I don't think anything will die. Magic's still going to be around. Commander's still going to be around. Will Commander change? Quite possibly. But again, only time will tell. We're not even like a month into all this, and we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I think the rules committee, they made a mistake. They didn't deserve what happened because they made a mistake. They didn't. They made the wrong call. Sure. Their actions weren't the best ones they could have made, but the community had no right to react in the way it did. The people who started sending death threats had no right to react the way they did, because the rules committee fucked up. They're human.
Yeah.
They're not a massive corporation, and the massive corporations also fuck up. But you know what happens when they do and they fuck up their rules? Nothing. Because everyone working on it is anonymous. They're more protected. And so I have to say, I don't like that Wizards of the Coast has taken over. But I do like that hopefully this will bring some peace to the people who were on the RC and got all of these horrific threats and insults thrown at them. They're good people. They were trying to make everyone's lives better. They were trying to bring in more casual audiences, and they were just trying to make the game fun and feel less oppressive to newer players, to people just coming into the format. There are a lot of cards in Magic. There are a ton.
So many.
It is easy to get lost, and it is easy to say that person won because they have a bigger wallet.
Yep.
And you know what? There is an element of that.
Yeah.
However, if you're creative enough, you can get around that, as evidenced by the fact that we didn't lose to the every single game he played turn one Mana Crypt and Mana Vault player at our LGS that one time. Every game we made sure he lost, that he was in our pod, and then he got super upset and left.
Yep.
You know what? It is what it is. You can get outplayed even if you have the bigger wallet, and that's why this game is so good. It doesn't matter what you start with, because people can just be better and outplay you. It happened to me today. Buddy was playing a precon, and he hit me with a free counterspell from Convoke, and I didn't expect it at all. I knew he was playing a Convoke deck. I didn't expect the free counterspell, and I was mad. Not mad. I was salty. I was like, this is stupid. Fuck you. Free counterspells in a precon? That's horse shit. Like, imagine if Force of Will was in a precon? Buddy. But
please don't give them ideas.
I got outplayed. I did. I got outplayed hard, and I lost that game. And then I came back with much more competitive decks, because I'm a little baby, and I like to win. But I can admit, I lost that game handedly. I was outplayed hard. It's part of the game. You can get outplayed at it. Like, a precon can beat a CEDH deck. It's rare, and the CEDH player has to just kind of not know what they're doing, but it can happen, and that's part of the game.
Exactly.
And yeah, I guess our last point here. I don't know how long this has been. I feel like it's been quite a long episode.
Sure
Our
has.
last point is how everything happening has affected us. For me, I had to take out Dockside Extortionist from my Krenko Mob Boss deck, and I had to take out a Jeweled Lotus from my Bruvac, the Grandiloquent deck. I believe I've spoken at least about Bruvac here multiple times. I love that deck. It's unfortunate that I lost the ability to win turn 3, but it makes the games more interesting. Now I'm a punching bag until I win or die. There's no, I drew the perfect hand, I drew 2 cards, I win. That's not a thing anymore. And I think that's fun.
Yeah, that's fair. How it affected me, I had to go to face-to-facegames.com. Not a sponsor yet.
One day, hopefully,
One day,
please
hopefully.
notice us, senpais. We have maybe 100 views per video.
I had to go to face-to-facegames.com, go to my cart, remove the Nadu and the Shuko from the cart. Other than that, I had not really like a CDH Winota list, but definitely a higher power leveled Winota list that I eventually wanted to make into CDH. I'd take the Jeweled Lotus out of her. Oopsie doopsie, I'm still gonna play the deck. I love the deck. And then Dockside, well, Dockside was just kind of floating in my binder forever, trying to find a place, and now
Now
the
it's
place
places in
is
your binder.
in my bulk. So,
Like, it's not...
oh,
The cards, I understand why people would be upset that they were banned. I don't understand why people would send threats. That is... I genuinely am so flabbergasted that someone was like, oh, my cardboard I can't officially play with anymore. I'm going to go and yell at people and threaten them. I don't understand that mindset. And it has made me kind of sad, right? It's sad because I don't want to be associated with those kinds of people, right? Like, it's rare that you meet someone who's sitting there and is like, oh, who's an adult, and who's like, oh yeah, man, I'm 50 years old and such a gangster, dude. Like, brop, my guy. Like, shop. Racial slurs, like, you know what I mean? You're like, generally you see someone like that and you're like, what a fucking loser. So
is this a 2020? Oh my god! Is it 2020 Xbox wife party? Because no,
yeah, like,
no,
it's you're not cool, you're not
No.
tough because you threaten someone. Like, you're just a loser. You know how to use a computer. Good fucking job, dude.
you can type on a keyboard.
Good job, dude. I'm proud of you. You know how to keyboard. You're a little keyboard warrior.
You can. What if I told you you can still play the game you love, even a similar way to what you used to without the cards that just got banned? It's crazy.
You know what else is crazy? You can play the cards that got banned. You just rule 0 them at your table.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sure we're going to have episodes in the future where we play banned cards and see how toxic of a BS deck we can make around said banned cards.
I've already started.
Yeah, I have Ionia, Shield of Emeria.
Prophet of Krufix is back, baby.
I cannot wait to build a bullshit combo around that commander. It is going to suck for everyone at the table.
Kinnan with Prophet of Krufix kind of go crazy. I'm excited.
We're going to have some stupid things, and it's going to be silly. And guess what? Everyone at the table will consent to it. Everyone at the table will leave the table and go, let's never do that again. I understand why these are banned. Like, it's... The bans suck in the moment. It sucks to be like, oh, that's my favorite card, and now I can never play it. But in the long run, I feel like they're probably going to be the right call. I really do.
Yep.
Those people have been playing Commander and deep into Commander for a long time. We don't know what influenced their decision. That was never released to us. But I'm sure they have enough data to warrant those bans after nothing for years.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like it wasn't something that they were just like, hey man, we're gonna fuck some people over. You in?
Yeah, they didn't just like wake up that morning and they're like, I think I'm gonna ban Manacrypt today.
Yeah, they didn't wake up like, hey, you wanna know you wanna know a funny prank? Let's ban some things permanently.
Yo, that's sick, dude.
No, it's funny prank, dude. That's not how that conversation went. That was a long conversation that was hard to have with them. And it ended in the worst possible way. Because of so many factors. A mishandling on their front. A mishandling on the community. The community let them down.
For sure.
The community let everybody down here.
Everybody.
Everyone. I don't want, if we are ever at an event, I know if you made a threat to anybody, unless you've got your life together by then, don't come.
Yeah,
You're not
like
welcome.
if you've made a threat to somebody, right? Not okay. Again, can't stress that enough. Not okay. But you have since then kind of taken a seat, looked at things and been like, hey, you know, that was really not okay. And you have worked on yourself since then. Great. 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to see it.
I'm a guy. I get. Sometimes you get the big testosterone and you're like, ho, 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 gotta fight. You gotta fight. You don't gotta kill. Like, go hit your head against the wall for a bit.
Significant difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Significant.
go punch a punching bag. Get that out of your system and then go back and sit down. And if you still want to make that threat, get help.
Go wreck some idiots at Arena or Hearthstone or
Dragon Ball Spark.
Fortnite, whatever, dude.
Yeah, whatever gets your, like, relieve your stress.
Yeah.
And I think that's just good advice. If you're angry, get to a point where you're not angry before you write letters to somebody.
Yeah, truly.
And the letters can be tweets, they can be whatever.
Yep.
Get to a point where you are not angry. Go calm down.
Yep.
Because guess what? It's going to be a much more convincing and well-worded letter than if you're a big angry boy who's like, you hurt my feelings and I don't like it. I'm on the floor of the... Hold on. We've done Walmart, grocery store.
GameStop?
GameStop. The kid on the floor of the GameStop going, my mommy won't buy me the newest video game console and I'm super mad and I'm just going to cry on the floor.
But I wanted the 10,000 V-Bucks card, not the 5,000.
Yeah, what are you doing? Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft? Yeah, like, come on, dude. Yep. You're act your age, not your shoe size, all right? All right.
But yeah, I think that pretty much
Yeah, I think that's basically all we want to say. We were a little heated. We looped. We went in circles a lot. It's also late. We both had really long days and then sat down and recorded because we needed to, because we don't have time before the next episode releases. But yeah, just be excellent to each other. It requires literally zero effort to not threaten somebody.
Yeah, you know, if you're mad at anybody, man, not saying that your feelings aren't valid. I'm sure they are, you know, but if you're mad at anybody, you know, and it gets to the point where, like, you even think about doing something like that, put yourself in a position, right, where you are able to calm down and able to think rationally instead of my bad.
Ooh, that was a nice pop.
Thanks. Instead of irrationally, you know. Or even if you're playing a pod or something with, like, people right across from you or within close proximity to you and you're angry, right? Take a moment, cool down, have a calm conversation, might I add. Have a conversation with those people. You know, there's no reason to go threatening anybody and inciting violence on them. There's not.
Losing because of a counter spell or out of nowhere, like if you have a game-winning play and you lose because someone fogs it and then gains all the life that you just hit them with, that sucks.
Yep.
Part of the game. You got outplayed. Happened to me. I was salty. I was. And then I got over it. I don't have any ill will towards the guy who did it. I was like, that's fucking annoying. It's part of the pre-con, but it's fucking annoying.
Yep. As always, you know, move on.
Yeah.
There's more games, man. More games.
You don't have to suck. Like,
yeah, truly.
You can be a good person. I know it's a crazy concept, but it's true. You can be a good person, and it's surprisingly really easy to not threaten somebody.
Mhm.
Like you have to put effort into threatening. You have to put in a lot of effort, and it's not worth it in any situation. But yeah, I guess we should end the episode. We said we were doing that. Oh, I'm so heated. This whole situation sucks. It's stupid. It shouldn't have happened. You feel free to ask us questions on Twitter
Yes.
or our Facebook page or wherever you want to ask us questions in the comments, and we will answer them. But I don't think we're going to make another video on this. There are a ton of videos that have been made.
So many.
You can check them out. You can get so much more info on everything from places like Prof, and I'm sure Olivia will eventually come out with a statement if she decides to come back. And
Yeah.
like, I hope you do. You are such a wonderful person, and we don't even get 100 views on our videos yet. But I mean, if you reach out, we'll be happy to be like, give you support, right? I know I don't believe in DMing someone without their consent. But if you feel like it, you want some words of encouragement, and for whatever reason you saw this podcast, reach out. Like, you deserved so much better than what you got. All of the members of the rules committee deserved so much better than what they got. And it is like, as a community, we got to do better. A lot more members of the community stayed silent when maybe they should have stepped in and gone, hey dude, that's not cool. And like, there were people that did step up. There were. However, not enough to stop the death threats coming in when they were done over something public like X, right? Someone was like, oh my God, and then nobody said anything on the thing. Like, give them their attention or whatever. It'll let them cool down.
Yep.
Just be like, hey man, that's not cool. What the fuck? Give them the attention for a minute. As long as, they don't act on it. If they get like, if their tweet goes viral and everyone's going like, you're a fucking idiot, stop, and it happens every time, guess what? They're probably going to take the tweet down. Because that's a lot of notifications. That's annoying. And then they'll go, you know what? It's not worth it. So, yeah, I don't know. That's where we'll end it.
Yep.
I am Mana Flood. You can find me on X. You can find me.
You're Mana Flood?
Technically, I'm half of it.
Half.
I'm from the Flood. I am from the Flood. I stream on Twitch sometimes. I kind of stopped because content creation is so exhausting sometimes. But I'm also on X. You can find me. I don't know. I'm managing our social medias as well as Parmesan. We're co-managers. It's great. I forget it exists most of the time. It's mostly him. Let's be real. Yeah. So you can find me in those places and the wonderful gentleman beside me.
Once again, I am Beanbag Chair Ed Sheeran, otherwise known as Parmesan. You can find me at Parmesan TV on X, Instagram, and TikTok.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching on YouTube. And big thank you to Nom Honey for recording this here outro.
Thank you for listening to the Mana Flood podcast. Any references to companies or other content creators in this episode are done strictly out of love for the brand, as we are not sponsored. If you would like to contact us, our email is floodedmanapool@gmail.com or find us on X at floodedmanapool. You can also contact the host directly at From the Flood or at Parmesan. Have a good day. Bye.